Now, friends, there is a tool we will use most frequently within D5. The letter I, the I of I, friends. The letter I means the eyedropper tool. When I press I in the evacuation, an eyedropper appears here. The purpose of the eyedropper is this. It tells me to click on the material you want to change. For example, this or that, or the metal piece over there, or the light piece over there. Look, I am explaining it very simply and clearly. We will do this on all textures. You press the letter I. I want this ring of mine to be a light ring, friends. Look, my menu on the right will change because the settings of the model I selected will appear in the menu on the right. Normally my menu here. When in the HDR and GI Sky model, that is the Sky model, look, we switch to HDR like this. And the model here, the menu here will change. Look, I come here and selected the ring. After selecting the ring, look, it says material type. Normally, every texture has a material type. If it's glass, it is referred to as translucent. That is, it is considered a transparent material. Here it says custom, so the custom material here. In the custom material, the emissive setting, friends. It is also available in Coral Render. It is also available in Inkscape. It is also available in TV Motion. Their names are different, but they all mean emissive. In other words, it means turning an object into a light source. I clicked on emissive. Look, it became a light source. Now, of course, my light source is normally this color, but it appears white here. To change this, if you click on the white part here in the box. Look, there is also an eyedropper here. It asks which color do you want to pick with the eyedropper. I want to pick this color. I clicked. Look, this color has changed. I changed the intensity from 5 degrees to 20. Look, it started to give more intensity. What does the excess intensity here show us, friends? If we give too much, an explosion occurs. What is an explosion? It is when there is too much light here and the surrounding objects become invisible. In other words, it means preventing them from being seen. Such a value. There's no need to give too much, friends. For example, right now you actually can't fully notice it because the glass effect is not fully given on the windows, the light inside. It doesn't fall much, friends. Since the light doesn't fall inside, there is no interaction inside. Why? Because I couldn't apply the glass material to the windows. I can do this in two ways. I press the I key, I select the glass. When I come to the transparent section, I make adjustments from here. I switch to the custom section, or I adjust. Here, if this part here is white, look friends, light enters inside. It wasn't entering because it was black. I made it white. Light entered inside. Or look, at this part here, I enter the asset section. I need to go to the asset search, model and material search section, to the search section here. I need to go to the material section. Sometimes friends make mistakes. They search for explosion in the model section. This time you won't find it. You need to go to the material type section and type glass in the search section. I typed glass. I pressed enter. Look, there are free ones here. Those that don't say pro are free. I scrolled down. Look, it says basic glass material, meaning basic glass material. I clicked here one more time. It came to the tip of my dropper. I dropped it here. Look, I dropped it here. I dropped it here. What happened? This has been inserted now. I can't see the thing exactly. Look, there's a stain. There's a ripple. I can't see the light exactly. I came to the Environment window. I came to the Geo and Sky section. Look, the sun has entered. Friends, this Geo and Sky section wasn't entering at first because the glass material wasn't applied. Let's apply the glass material and it entered. Look, I can change it according to the time from this part here. Look, I have a very nice sunlight right now. Look, let me go to scene 3. I went to scene 3. Why did this happen, friends? Because my HDR was marked. I had said update on the HDR. That's why I'm saying Geo and Sky. Look, it came. I turned this one this way. As you can see, I caught a nice opening here. Then I pressed the update screen part on the picture here. I updated the scene, friends. Look, we are going step by step. First, I support the lights inside. Then I brought the light from outside, here. And I brought it to this state. Friends, here, we will render the sun with both Gyonk. And we will render with HDR using HDR. The summaries we made in both are the same. Only the light intensities will be different, friends. There are a lot of details we did. So honestly, there won't be much confusion. Because If you ask what the difference is between the two arts, the light that comes with the sun, which you call GM sky. So let's say a light related to the sun came into your living room or bedroom, an intense light came. And let's say a light with a picture in the background came with HDR. For example, a picture like this, look, it says midday, slightly, half closed up, half open. Let me show you this from the outside. Let's go outside. It becomes more visible, look, with such a light. In the thing, the light on the device track. What is the difference in these works? Look, this HDR stands as a picture in the background while also providing natural light. The device track is a part where sunlight and skylight are provided. Friends, I went back to scene 3. Look, I'm waiting a bit. The suitability of the scene and the amount of light were reloaded. And now, before closing this lesson, I want to show an example of something. Indoors, friends, from the effects menu, you need to turn off the exposure. When I turn off the exposure, this is the actual light of the scene, friends. Do you know what it does when you turn on the exposure? Artificial intelligence. It says you haven't fully provided the light. It says, let me complete this. This is the meaning of exposure. It actually completes this part itself, to be honest. But I don't want it to complete this, because it doesn't become a natural light. This is not natural light, friends. This is actually my natural light. I will complete it by going from here. If it's not enough, I can set the exposure to 0.1, 0 and 2. But for now, I have nothing to do with exposure. Lighting. I'm going with lighting. Look now. But here's the thing. If you say you can't see the scene clearly, you can do this. You turn on auto from here. What were our operations from here? Look, we will make this lamp. Then we will make the spotlights. We will do the lighting here and add light to the spotlights. After adding light to all the spotlights, we will do our interior lighting. Friends, after that we will turn off the exposure and continue with our work. This is how the process works. But in terms of seeing the scene, this is ideal. And if you are moving back and forth in the scene and entering the model, set our camera setting here to 18. Bring it back to the old setting so that it reaches an ideal level for comfortable movement. Friends,